It's a game of chicken. I think I lost.
You did.
Welcome. Hi. Hi, Crystal. Also, we didn't get a chance to say hello yet. Our topic today, a fresh look at dreams, the power of dreaming. And this one, I'm going to blame this one on Kate too. She is quite the muse for all topics, but I think I also might be to blame for this one as well, because Kate has been demonstrating so beautifully, allowing the dreaming to come into her life, and we get to watch firsthand what it does. This beautiful thought that was just handpicked for Kate, and she knows it because of how it lights her up. And instead of moving on to other thoughts, she's allowing it to stay with her. And she's curious about it, and she's wondering about it, and she is allowing it to move her into actions without quite knowing exactly where she's going, and sometimes having a sense, and oftentimes not. And it's coming alive the way that when you plant a seed and you water it and you just show up with it and you give it a little bit of what it needs, it starts to sprout and grow, and then you get to see what's becoming. So it's Kate's fault. Kate and life. And I And it's something that I so delight in. It's probably my favorite conversation to have with people is what would you love to create? What do you dream of? What inspires you? So because Kate indulges me, she gets another fresh look topic all about her. So here's a quote that I wanted to read, and this one comes from Sydney Banks. And I like this because I think this is probably something like what we may talk about today. The world is a divine dream suspended between the boundaries of time, space, and matter. I'm going to read that one again for me, maybe for you, because I've heard it before and I don't want to hear it like I've heard it before. I want to hear it like it's the first time. The world is a divine dream suspended between the boundaries of time, space, and matter. What do you see about the divine dream of life? Hey, Melissa, I saw a hand.
Buddy. I realize that the word dream, it's just a word. To me, dream always just sounds like something I've got to work at, or it's mythical, mystical. So I don't really think about dreams too much lately. More like, and I'm not trying to be like wah, wah on dreams. Just what I think about, like what I can imagine. And that's more tangible to me. Yeah. I mean, I like the word dream, but I don't know. I think for me, that's what sleep is for, even though I don't do a lot of dreaming when I sleep.
And that is exactly what we're talking about, I think, Melissa, or at least the direction that I'm going in is this beautiful power of imagination. And yeah, what does it mean to you, dreaming? Is it frivolous? Is it a waste of time? Is it fun? The way we're talking about it is a use of the imagination to create something, perhaps, just to imagine something, something that feels nice. You don't have to do anything with it to enjoy the dream. And I'm glad you showed up for this, Melissa, even though you're like, dreaming? Meh. Oh, is that Anna behind the hand?
It is. It is Anna at 6 a.m. I'm fresh out of a dream. I was just thinking it depends if we're talking about conscious dreams or just the ones that happen when we put our head in the pillow. For me, when I go to sleep, and this week I woke up twice out of a dream, and they were stressful dreams. And one, I was in a place that I wasn't supposed to be with a group of people, and we were trying to get away without being noticed. And in the last minute, I was the last one getting out, and all of a sudden, I was left inside a room with doors with no door handles and no windows. It's just a blind room. And I thought, well, at some point, someone is going to notice I'm gone and go and get me. In the dream, I had that thought. Oh, well, I'm here. And then I woke up, and of course, I felt the panic. When I woke up, I still felt the rush of, I'm so F right now, you know. And then my conscious mind say, okay, it was a dream. So there was no room, no need to, you weren't trapped. My body felt old. Um, and I just realized that the whole thing disappeared in an instant the moment I woke up. There was no longer that room. There was no longer the me that I saw in that room. It wasn't there anymore. It was just a product of imagination, thought at play, I suppose. And it didn't need me to be there designing the room. It was just all happening. My head was in the pillow, and it was all happening. So I'm always so curious, not so much about the meaning of dreams, but the fact that we can construct a whole reality just by some magic, by some, maybe the people say the brain is processing, cleaning up, I don't know, closing loops, resetting through dreams. But it's really, I love dreaming. I'm not a big fan of nightmares. That's the other thing. You have dreams, they're beautiful, and you wake up and you're like, damn, that was a dream. I dreamed that I dated Jason Momoa one time. And I woke up and I was like, damn, it's just a dream. And sometimes you wake up from nightmares and you're like, phew, so good. It was just a dream. So it's a great topic. And it's very mysterious. I feel dreams are mysterious in a way that is like, if I consciously think, oh, my dream is to create a wall of, love and understanding, you put your own mind to it, right? But in the dreams that happen when you hit it in the pillow and you're unconscious, it's just so mysterious. I'm a big fan of dreams. Thank you for choosing the topic.
Mhm.
So, Anna, when you were talking, you at least twice mentioned about waking up from the dream. And for
Yes.
some reason that struck me. It's like, and then going back to Sid's quotes, life is a divine dream
Yeah.
suspended. Uh, I don't remember the rest of it now. Like, yeah, we can wake up. Can we wake up to that dream? I mean, you mentioned about how some dreams we have at night are pleasurable and fun, and other of them are scary.
Yeah.
And like when I'm having a fun dream in this reality, yeah, I'm quite happy to stay in it. But it's nice that I can wake up from some of my daytime nightmares and then go, oh,
Mhm.
it's just my thinking that's creating this. Um, I know that's one thing I want to take from what you just said about waking up. The other thing is like, there's because I remember when we were talking about this topic, I said, well, when we talk about dreams, people might think we're talking about nighttime dreams. They might be thinking we're talking about dreaming dreams that we create with our imagination during the day. And that's the one that I'm curious about. It's like, and I have a story that, I've got some great dreams I create with my imagination, but I don't bring them to fruition. It's not a good story to live in, I'm just realizing. Um,
Mm.
and I mean, I've got a really good story. Like when I think some people have heard this from me before. When I was a kid, I just, I have a math degree. So even though at the age of 7, I don't think I really knew that, but there's still some fascination around numbers. And there was this calculator that was advertised in the paper. And it was like, it had so many different buttons. And I was like, oh my God, I want this calculator. And they had a life size, uh, it was life size in the ad in the paper. So I cut it out and I stuck it onto a piece of cardboard and I went around pressing buttons, just imagining me having this calculator. And you know what? I never got that calculator, even though I had this desire. And like for me, I had this dream of having the calculator, but it didn't manifest in real life, at least not the way I wanted it. The cardboard version of it, and in my mind didn't really count. Um, and I do know there's things I have dreamed about that have come true. And I don't know why. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Like, some people say it's about being in alignment with my dream, vibrationally in alignment, whatever that means. Um, but like we have been gifted the power to imagine, the power to dream. And I don't know, this story about Walt Disney is just popping into my head. When the Epcot Center was open, Walt Disney was no longer alive, and a reporter was talking to his son, said, isn't it a pity your father isn't here to see the Epcot Center open because it was his idea. And Walt Disney's son said, oh no, you don't understand. You're seeing it today because he saw it first. And for me, that's the kind of dream that the potential that we can have for dreaming, for imagination and bringing it to fruition. So I don't know. I was going all over the place there, but those are some of the thoughts that occurred to me around dreaming.
I was just thinking, we were talking about night dreams and the power of imagination. I'm kind of curious, at some point, someone came up with the word daydream, right? It didn't exist at one point. And the fact that they decided to call it a daydream, like our imagination and getting lost in our imagination, they made the connection between like a night dream and a daydream. It's just I'd be curious, like the origin now of that word and how appropriate it is. And like what Bernie was sharing, it sort of points to like the joy of imagination, like just for itself. Whether it eventually happens or supposedly in the real world, which is a dream too. That's another topic, maybe. Um, and like we do things for fun, we do things for joy, like taking a walk, or maybe we'll go out to dinner rather than eat at home because it's a certain feeling or joy to it. But what if we think of just exercising our imagination as joy, just for itself? And it is, it really is. Um, so yeah, and just the relation to um, we're dreaming this world to an extent. I mean, I don't know all the science behind it, but apparently there's just energy that we're perceiving, and our imagination gives it, or thought, really pretty much the same thing for me, gives it a form. It gives it a form. Um, and speaking of the power of imagination, so I just something came across today on one of my friends on Facebook. Um, was referencing a study that was done back in the 70s by this really brilliant psychologist who did all these great experiments. Her name's Ellen Langer. Maybe some of you have heard of her. She wrote a book called Mindfulness, but she did all these experiments, fun experiments with people. Just one experiment she did was she wanted to um, find out. She had people go to like a copy, like at work, like a copy center where there was a line. And so she was experimenting with having them cut in the line. Okay. And the first experiment, they just tried to cut in the line. They said, "Hey, can I get in front of you?" And like maybe 10% of the people said yes, and the rest said no, no, go. And then she had this brilliant idea. It's like, well, what if I get what if I told them to give a reason to, would they let me in if I had a reason? And the reason that she gave them was it was basically so you visualize this, there's a line for in the copier, and they go and they say, "Hey, can I get in front of you? I have to make a copy." It's just like that's all it is. And this great number of people would let them in because they gave them a reason. But it's so, but anyway, the study that she did that I was just reminded of today was maybe some of you've heard this too. She took a group of people who were in their like 70s and 80s. And I don't know how she did this, but she rented out an old monastery. So this was maybe in the 70s, and she set it up like it was 1959. So all the magazines, all everything was 1959. There were no mirrors. And she just had people go there for a week and pretend like it's 1959. And to ask them to try to get into the feeling that they were in, which I think maybe was 20 years earlier at the time of the experiment. And I was just reading because I wanted to check on it. I was just reading a story about it. She was so astounded by the results, she was afraid to publish it because the results were so amazing, and she was young and she didn't think people would take it seriously. But people had like improvements, like they stood up straighter, Some of them were to independent people. They visibly looked very, very much younger. Some people had sort of a partial cure of things like arthritis. They measured their fingers were, so it was amazing that this whole thing about imagination, dreaming like it's 20 years ago and getting put in that environment. And, the state of mind that the people got into, affected their bodies, affected how they looked, how they moved. I think there's one story of someone, this might have been a later duplication, someone who couldn't put their socks on because they were too stiff, and then by the end of the thing, they were able to put their socks on. So, socks are kind of important. So I just really love that came through my, you know, whatever feed today, that how powerful imagination is, but also just how joyful it is. And we can exercise it whenever we want. And yeah, and the connection between daydreams and night dreams. And, when you're in a night dream and you realize you're in a dream, it changes it, doesn't it? Like if you're in a nightmare and you realize it's a dream, but you're still dreaming, it changes the feeling to it. And it's the same thing like in our waking life. Um, if we're in it, I always thought I coined the term daymare, but I think other people have used it. Daydreams and daymares. Um, like if I'm in a daymare and I realize that's what it is, which is just another way of saying you realize that you're in thought, you're thinking. It changes. It stops or it like settles down. So yeah. So anyway, I love the topic too.
Tom, um, Mikhaila, you go ahead. Okay, I'll finish my thought. Um, I was thinking about placebo effect. Something you said just reminded me, because the placebo effect is, in a way, using our imagination. Oh, this is the drug that's going to cure me, and that belief is enough, at least sometimes, for it to have a positive effect, which is very measurable. The placebo effect has
Yeah.
been scientifically studied. We might not know how it happens, but we know that it happens. And I think that's the use of imagination in a positive way. And I think we can use our imagination in a negative way. Like, I didn't get my calculator. I think I was holding the calculator and I probably wasn't as joyful as I could have been because there was like, I think there was this like questioning, am I ever going to get this? So it didn't show up, maybe. But yeah, there's something between placebo effect for me seems like an aspect of dreaming and imagination. It's used in a, I'd say usually a good way, but I guess it can be used in a negative. That's the thing. It could be used in a positive way or a negative way, meaning to get a result that we desire or to get a result that we don't desire. Mikhaila.
Yeah, good day. So when, first, well, I'll just, what some of the things that came up is about like the dream, that it doesn't, when you wake up at night or in the day or whenever, really, I see that wake up is like, oh, that's just really becoming present. And that the dream doesn't stop ever. It's like we're in this infinite thing. There is no stopping ever. Even when our bodies go back to the earth or the pickle jar, wherever it's going to go, it's like that energy still goes on. So it's like, oh, yeah, the dream doesn't stop, it just changes. And then I thought about, I don't know, a week or so ago, Rob and I are getting ready for our day in the morning. He said, I'm mad at you because of what you did in my dream. You know? It's like, yeah. So the dream changed for him. He's aware that, it didn't happen, yet there's still emotion, but it changed. It didn't, and eventually it or maybe it didn't. Maybe he's still pissed off. I don't know. But but it's like I see that it kind of it's we're in a never ending dream. And initially when you spoke what you first spoke, Stephanie, in the beginning, and it's like I saw we used to live out on an acreage and we had this hay field art, and we had a lot of dandelions, but the image that came up was this one dandelion seed just flying, and it seems so insignificant, really. And then I saw the yellow hayfield, and it's just like, that is not insignificant. And everything is and isn't, really, depending on what angle you want to look at it from. You zoom in and you zoom out, and you're going to see something different all throughout the way. Yeah. Anyways, I love that quote. I got goosebumps, Bernie, when you said that. Uh, Walt Disney's son saying that. It's like, oh yeah, that it all is. It all is seen before in some way, and different. And along the way, it changes. Our dreams change. You don't dream about that calculator anymore. Well, not in the way maybe that you did then, right? So it's just like one goes to the next to the next. So I love that. I love that that we're constantly evolving, and we can have some choice about it, and sometimes seemingly no choice about it. And so even that changes. It doesn't stop. It just continues on. So it's fun. It's fun to think about.
Your story about your husband reminds me of the comedian Taylor Tomlinson, who did a bit, and she said she got mad at her boyfriend because she imagined him cheating on her, and she said to him, you shouldn't even cheat on me in my imagination. Or no, something like, if you loved me, you wouldn't do that. Um, but also, the thing with the dream, and I was really struck by something I think George Pransky once said, that usually, you just contradict this, but usually we don't take our dreams seriously once we wake up. You know, like if you have a dream and you lost your luggage at the airport in the dream, when you wake up, you don't go to the airport to try to find your lost luggage, but that we take our imaginations seriously. And to me, that just pointed to the possibility that we don't have to take what we think so seriously, even though it's real, quote unquote, real. We don't have to take our thoughts seriously about it. So that to me is very helpful.
Anna, when you were narrating your dream for us, I felt the divine laughter rising up in me, because I heard it as a perfect metaphor for us in life. Michaela, as you said, we're always dreaming, always this dreaming thought, and we don't know it. And sometimes we have fun with it, and sometimes we torture ourselves with it, but we're always dreaming. And then we can wake up, and it does change it. You still feel the dream, but you're not lost in it anymore. And it just felt beautiful listening to your story that way, Anna. It was so gorgeous. And I think of, like, I'm a dream of life. Life is dreaming me. This person that sometimes goes by the name of Steph, and now more recently Steph DragonHeart, is a dream. And life dreams dreams for me. Life brings dreams that can only come through me. And I wouldn't even pick them for myself sometimes. I don't know where they come from. Just like thought. They are thought. They arrive. And some of them stay or return and grow into actions and creations in my life. And I was just seeing, I woke up last night. I was not dreaming, I don't think, but I was in between, and I just was seized by this idea that I'm like, I want that to exist. I don't care how. I'm willing to do it if it's mine, but this thing, and I want this one, and this one, and this one, and this, and there are like a bunch of them, and I went, and I get to have these dreams. I get to create with them. I get to have this life. I am dreaming up this life, and I can dream it the way I'd like to dream it. When I see that agency that I have, it's not like I'm, and I don't pretend to understand this. This is the biggest mystery, right? So I think it was almost 2 years ago now, I started to notice something that would occasionally happen when I was falling asleep. The weirdest thing ever to me is I would be falling asleep in between, not yet asleep, not fully awake, and I would start to see images play across my mind like a movie screen. And I knew I wasn't thinking them. They weren't coming from me. They were just happening, and they were complex characters and animals and things happening. And I'm like, this is weird. Where is this coming from? I'm not doing it. And I knew at that point I was just about to fall asleep. And what that showed me is that's happening all day long, but I'm so close
Mhm.
to it when I'm in my waking consciousness that I think I'm the one thinking it. It looks like I'm doing it, but I'm not. I'm not. It's just happening me. And there is something in attention, but as soon as I'm aware of something, my attention's on it. As soon as it occurs to me to be aware of something, my attention's on it. I don't know where that came from, any of it. It's it's the dreaming of me. And it feels so lovely that even the waking up is a part of the dream. And I feel so lucky.
Bringing some science to it is like what you describe sounds like the science of observation. Because what happens when we wake up or we become present? We observe and it changes it. And it's like those floaters in your eyes, it's like you can kind of see them, and when you try and like put your attention, get them, like they keep skirting away. It's like, yeah, it keeps changing. It doesn't matter. I can try and try and try. It's like whenever I try and hold something in place to give it my attention or my presence or whatever, it's just like it changes. I can't stop the change. Anyway, that's just what popped into mind.
Thank you, Steph, for sharing that. I'm watching this university professor that films his lectures. And in one of them, he says, every advance that we have in humanity have usually come to people, just come to them.
Right.
Like, and then he says, and then I realize what's been happening for me. I will have those visions or those dreams,
of something that I want to see happening in the world, or I want it to exist. It just comes to me, and something inside of me says yes. And what I've done innocently is I put my mind to it. That's what I did innocently for all my life. I put my mind to it. But then now I realize, no. If I had, you know, the saying, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. It never felt more real than this morning to me because of what you just were describing.
Mm.
Because now I just put myself back into life, into the now, and the way is going to be made for me. I don't have to make the way happen. So that's the best way I know how to express it right now. But I suppose a dream is a vision. And we all have those for ourselves. I didn't have them for me because I thought, well, and this is the other place where time comes in. Because they suspend this between time, space, and matter, right? So some dreams, nightmares, daymares, they feel like they've been going on for a long time. Like when we have the thought that we're not good enough, right? Or that we can't achieve something because of the past. So that's where time for me comes in and keeps you thinking that it's real. And then because it's real, well, your future can only be so much. So that's another aspect of time coming in. But in reality, you wake up. You were just dreaming, you wake up. So I saw that in, because for me, what you describe is the flow of life, you know, that it comes from deep nowhere. And I love the dandelion example. It's such a magic. For me, sometimes you see a dandelion in a pavement crack, you know, and you're like, Jesus, what made you break through in this very non conducing conditions? And I think that's what I felt when you were describing, Steph, that process. No. Thank you.
What happens when you have an open and fertile mind for dreams? What happens? I didn't really think a lot about dreams in this way until last year, when Rin Bonnie and I were doing a Love Money course, and we were looking at the book Love Money, Money Loves You. And it talks about dreaming as our creative power, as part of how money shows up in our life, because money is just energy. The energy of creation. It's creation itself. That's what I heard in the book. And what I started to see was that I would have a dream. A dream would come to me, like the ones Anna was talking about. And then I would swat it away.
Mm.
I would replace it with another dream that said, you can't do that. Where are you going to find the money? Nobody's going to buy that. And just like that, it was crushing this baby dream. Could come back. Sometimes it did. But I saw that I had a habit of that. And I was like, oh my, what if I just didn't? What if I just didn't crush it? The ones that are beautiful, I just let them be there. I just let them be fertilized, perhaps fertilize something in the ground of my mind, in the ground of my being, and see what grows. Don't crush it out before it has a chance. Just, it doesn't have to grow into anything. And that's what I feel now. Like I can have all of these beautiful ideas, and some of them will move me into action, and many of them won't. And it doesn't mean anything one way or the other. Like I get to enjoy them, and they're creative because I feel them. And it's like, oh, I'm alive. I'm alive and being dreamed, and it's so good.
Yeah. Well, when we were talking about the night dreams, it occurred to me that it doesn't seem like, at least for me, that we're choosing them. It's not like when I go to sleep, there's this menu, you're scrolling through, okay, that's like they just come. And it's like the same thing with our thoughts. Like the thoughts just pop into our head. It doesn't seem like we're choosing them to pop into our head. They just pop into our head. And there's probably something behind it, giving us these thoughts, but they just pop into our head. So I was reminded, if you'll indulge me, one of my favorite metaphors. I think Steph has heard it. I don't know if I've shared it here, but it's the metaphor of the sushi train. You guys all know the sushi train? Have you ever been to a sushi restaurant and the plates go around on this conveyor thing that some restaurants they actually make it look like trains. Have people seen that at all? Yeah, Kate, yeah. So I was thinking about that once, and it's like, well, if you went in there for the first time, or someone went in there and they didn't understand the setup, if they didn't understand how it worked, and they're sitting there and they're hungry, and a plate of food comes by, they go, "Oh, I guess this is my plate of food," and either you like it or you don't like it. And then another plate comes through, and you can get into this like, "Oh, this again, I hate this. Why do I always get this?" But then someone explains to you how it works. Is you let it go by and you wait until something comes by that you like. So you always have something that you like. And I think our minds can be like that a little way too, because we're always having these thoughts, and then we'll get into one, really get into one. And it could be a good thought, like we were talking about, an imagination of something we like, or it could be like really getting down on ourselves or one else. And it's almost like you step into like this daydream, this drama that you get pulled into. But I feel like what if we notice that, like if if you wake up from a bad thought stream or a daymare, right? And you just realize, oh, okay, I was just thinking about that. What if we asked whatever is behind it for something good? Like that was no fun. Like, what else do you have? And you know what? It'll give you something. It's very much like AI. If you ask AI for something, it will give you something. You can give it the most impossible problem and say, "Hey, what do you think? Do you have something positive for this?" It'll give you something. It might not turn out to be anything, but of course, like universal mind or whatever we call that is infinitely more powerful than AI. So, um, and I experimented with this a little bit in the early days of being in the principles when I was before I had a change and I was very depressed. It occurred to me one day, I was just walking. It's like, oh, that's like what I'm thinking about is just awful. And then it was like to my mind, hey, do you have something else? Can you give me a little help here? Can you give me something nice? And it's not like that's a strategy or anything so much. And in the principles world, sometimes I think there's too much made of like the no techniques and the no whatever, or that looks like a technique, don't do it. But there are things that we can do in the moment, like ask for a positive thought, ask for a solution to a problem, and your mind, try it. Your mind will give you something. And I think if we get oriented to the fact that we can have positive dreams, we can have helpful thoughts, we can have joyful thoughts, if we want, if we want, we can ask for them, or we can just know it's possible. And you can let those things on the sushi things that you don't like just slide by. Okay, okay. What else you got? What else you got? Um, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see Does that spark anything with anyone? Does that make any sense, or does that, you know, have you felt that possibility that like in any moment you can just ask? Well, now here's your invitation if you haven't.
I do like the idea of the sushi train. I can just let it go by. Oh, that's something I don't want because I know something else is going to come along eventually that I will like.
Yeah,
Yeah, what if I use the same kind of idea with thinking, oh yeah, that thought doesn't feel fun. All right, let that one go. Let's see what else shows up.
exactly. Exactly.
I think that sushi train metaphor is amazing. I just keep because there's so many things that can, like when you say imagine you don't know the setup, right?
Right.
And
Right.
you don't know what the thing is about, and you haven't seen food in a long time, you know. So the first thing that comes along, you're gonna be like, there is that for me, and then you hold on to that one because you don't know that more is coming, so you create a bottleneck innocently because you
Yeah.
don't know how it works. But now you just, I love the sushi train.
Well, and it's free. Anyone can use it.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So much what you say resonated. For example, when you say you can always, you wake up from the daymare, you wake up. So yeah, you wake up to a better dream. When you wake up, you are out of it. So you are a little bit in a different level of consciousness before you were in it, completely at its mercy. When you wake up, you're, oh, okay. And I just have this feeling because of what Steph was saying before that is infinite that. And I think the quality, the real, the realization that you're sharing with us that we can influence the quality, not by force, but by understanding. Because once you understand how the sushi train works, it's like just Bernie said, it's like, I know this one is not my taste, because I can have 700 millions visions and ideas. And at one point in my life, I was trying to follow all of them. And that was an exaggeration. But, sometimes I went to that stage where I will have a lot of ideas, a lot of visions. I wish you could see the room that I'm in because it's like just 4 or 5 different activities going on. And I tried to follow all of them. And then I just got burned out. And now the way that you're presenting stuff is like, what has to move forward will. There is no stopping. Nothing
Mhm.
could stop the dandelion from, you know, becoming blossoming. So that's the part where I'm like, oh, okay. So yesterday in Heartful Presence, we were talking and we talk about how Sid would say, point in a direction and do nothing. And we came up with point in a direction and remain joyful.
Mm.
Because joy is a conducent. It's it's just, and on top of that is joy. Joy feels good. Whatever version of joy you've had access within yourself, it could be gratitude, appreciation. I think they're all the family of the beautiful feelings that Sid was pointing to. I think that's um, what he was trying to point to us, that we can relax and things will come to us. That's a good stopping. So thank you for this wisdom space, because when I listen to you, sometimes I hear things from inside myself.
Yeah.
So thank you for the opportunity. Hmm.
I have a dream. Someone said that once, didn't they? Um, I have a dream that Kate is going to unmute herself and then start speaking. And I feel joyful about this because I'm just so excited to see. I love it when Kate just kind of just gets quiet and then words come out. And I'm not going to try and imagine what might come out. I'm just going to just open the door and invite Kate to step through and see what happens. If you want to, Kate, no pressure.
No pressure. Sorry.
Yeah, it's so actually it's very beautiful because what started as this call was kind of more about the dreams that we have for things, right? We have this idea that comes to us to create things in the world, right? Uh, and I had one recently. But then the conversation went into like our dreams and I was like, oh, that's and I just got to sit back and watch where it went in this very beautiful way. I was like, oh yeah, that's totally what this conversation is about. Uh so I love that. I love just watching things happen like that. Um but the dream, there's something that has begun for me from a really cool space. I don't know what it looks like, what it will look like. But something in this conversation, it just made me curious. And I was wondering if I could ask you guys, have you ever had an idea come to you that was like, oh my God, if I could make that happen, that would be right? And it started and it has a feeling to it. Have you guys ever had that? Yeah. And I've spoken about it with different people. I've even done Steph offers, in case anybody's interested, a space to just put out there whatever some idea could be. And she just holds that space with you. And so I was able to do that. Um, and with a few other people in our group in St. Pete. But I've had these moments with it where I can touch its possibility, like I can feel it and what it could mean in the world. And then I have other days where I feel nothing. Like I'm like, come on. That's what it's like. I'm like, where did you go? And I have nothing except my thinking, of course, on it. But something occurred to me while just listening to where this conversation went. And there's something beyond us that's holding that for me. so I can go away and I can get caught up. But then it's waiting for my attention again. Just my attention. And I feel like I completely underestimate what that means. To put my attention on something. And it gets to be reborn every time I do it. When I drop in and out of my thinking about it, I get to come back and it's being held for me in infinite possibility. And I can remember telling somebody about this new project, whatever it is. I was like, it may end up being one of those things that live and die in my journal. But something about this conversation I don't know if that's true. Because I can take my attention and put it back there and it's being held for me. And I love that because I can get caught up and move away from it and not feel it anymore. Like I'm allowed. And so I know we're wrapping up, but if there's something for you that came to you from a really beautiful space, it's waiting for you if you ever decide to go back.
Kate, I gotta say, it's way out of your journal already.
It's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Alive.
Don't know what happens, but it's out. It's in the world. It's alive.
Totally.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you for
Wow.
Thank you, Bernie, for the invitation.
Yeah.
any time.
Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. And we'll be back here second Thursday next month. New topic. We take requests at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, which may be different from our usual time in your time zone these days. This day. Oh my gosh. You figure it out.
We've just had our time change, so this is the time the call is on. This
It's the
Eastern
same
time.
time, Eastern Time for you. Same time in North America.
Yeah.
Different time
Yeah.
for me. Different time probably in Australia and New Zealand, right? So
Yeah. The fact that you're here today means you navigated
figured it out.
one time zone, one time change.
Brilliant.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have
Sweet
a great
dreams,
day.
everybody.
So much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Dreams.